Good morning. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 1059 The Zone. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Show is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in any of the 82 counties in the state of Mississippi. Competitive rates powered by Farm Bureau Insurance. We welcome in our friend Tom Luginbill, National College Football Analyst with ESPN. And Luke joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Tom Luginbill, you're the son of a coach. You coached. You started at the Power Four level. You've been around this your whole life. A lot of these guys are quirky and weird, and that's why we love them. Is there anyone more unpredictable or more of a wild card than Lane Kiffin in the coaching profession, Luke's?
Not in recent history. This thing is turning into like an old school signing day announcement. And
True.
Let's just, let's sit him at the table with 4 or 5 hats and see which one he picks. And, I think at the end of the day, if he's staying, just announce it, right? I mean, why put this off to the Egg Bowl? Ensure that your team is settled in, not just for the Egg Bowl, but for a college football playoff run and potential chase of a national championship, because without that and not knowing, you literally take this scenario, and granted, his team has handled these distractions really, really well.
Sure.
Right? A year ago at this time, they did not. But you're also talking about going into this game, let's forecast and just hypothetically say he decides to announce that he's leaving. Now you've got a football team that's going to have an interim coach getting ready to go into the college football playoff. You got a team that's leaving to take another job. All right. Has anybody asked the question how many guys are going in the transfer portal? How many guys could potentially say, I'm going to sit out? Because everybody says, oh, nobody would sit out a college football playoff game. Well, it's going to happen at some point. At some point it's going to happen. And it may take a late coaching change like this that could kind of light the fuse of that becoming a reality. If it's not Ole Miss, if it could be somebody else. But the timing of all of this just sucks. At the end of the day, for Ole Miss, for the kids, Lane Kiffin's going to be fine. But you just feel like, all right, if you're staying, just announce it.
All right, what do you think? You think he's staying or going?
No, I think he's going. I think we would know if he was staying. I think it would have already been settled, and they could move on, and you could prepare for the Egg Bowl knowing you've got continuity and stability, and you'd go to the playoff with the same thing. And, the fact that hasn't, that's the easy thing to do, to ease all tensions, to be the best prepared you can for the best performances on the field. So, no, I don't think he's staying.
All right, with the leveling of the playing field, which we've talked to you about dozens of times, and the watering down of college football in the SEC, although the games – we're getting closer games and more, because the game that we all love was kind of driven by blowouts, to be honest, prior to all this. Kind of like high school football, and the NFL's not. But at the end of the day, do you just think it's the allure of LSU? And you may think Florida's still in it, and that's fine. But the allure of just a little bit more of a bump, even in this day and age, because the brand, and you're the only game in town, and the fact that 3 different coaches, 2 of them who I don't consider great coaches, have won national championships in Baton Rouge in the 2000s, Luke?
Yeah, I think that it's certainly not about money. He's already created generational wealth. He doesn't have to make decisions to put food on the table. I think this is about a new challenge. I do think it's about believing maybe deep down in his soul that getting Ole Miss to the SEC championship game or winning an SEC championship is a greater challenge at Ole Miss than it's going to be at an LSU. And, you're right. There's history there that would tell you that. You don't have a Power 4 competitor in the conference. You have a great bounce back scenario of, let's just say, kids that were to decide to leave the state of Louisiana, which there are very few. But if they do, they're coming home through the transfer portal at some point or another if you want them. My biggest question in all of this is, what is the autonomy level? Because right now at Ole Miss, he controls every element of it. allocation of funds, allocation of resources, name, image, and likeness, the portal. He has a say in the settlement allocation. How many hands are going to be in the cookie jar at another place? Or can he get in writing? Because I think that's what this all comes down to. If you get in writing that you have complete and total control of decision-making process in every one of those aspects I just mentioned, then that changes, I think, the decision for him. And I think that's what he's been seeking. And if he gets it, by all means, he should be in a very, very fruitful situation with a university that has resources that can match anybody in the country. And that would be attractive to him, because if you're not getting that, you're giving it up. And giving it up can be dangerous in this landscape.
Yeah, Tom Luginbill, national college football analyst with ESPN. He joins us on the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by Taste Italian Kitchen in the Renaissance and Taste Italian Kitchen in Starkville. Fantastic dining experience. All right. So he grew up and became, to a certain extent, and I know he's still got Lane drama, but guy, he's unbelievable at managing a program and play calling and staffing and all this. Look at what he did at Ole Miss. Can you imagine, let's just say over a 5 to 6 year period, what he can accomplish in Baton Rouge, Luke?
Well, yeah, I think, the number one thing that makes him attractive in all of this, and you have to give him a ton of credit here, is he was so far ahead from a vision perspective of what was about to happen in college football. And he got so out in front of it that it put the Ole Miss program in a position that they had never been before. Because he attacked the portal, he attacked name, image, and likeness. He got a whiff that, wait a minute, there's not going to be any rules? Wait a minute, I can go out and just poach players with no downside. I can raid other rosters. We can fundraise here, and we can afford to do it, and nobody's going to come back and say, you violated this rule or you broke that rule. He was just beyond where everybody was at, and it gave him a head start to put that Ole Miss program in the position they're in now. You put those types of resources at a place like LSU with his intimate knowledge and success in the transfer portal. That's a pretty significant weapon, man. Really, when you get down to it, think about this. You got to go back to Jackson Dart being at SC, right? And some of these other guys early on, when everybody was just trying to figure out, what are we going to do with this? He already had a plan in place, and he got in front of people. Now, does the playing field level a little bit? Because now everybody, I don't want to say everybody's caught up, but everybody's now had some time to navigate this and execute a blueprint, right? But you could argue he's done it better than anybody else in college football.
Oh, no question. Okay, you've been around him. I have people like Jake Coker. I was with Jake Coker for almost 3 days last week, who was under Lane Kiffin for 2 years. Okay, he spent hundreds of hours with him. And he was like, nobody knows Lane Kiffin. But people can still pick up his personality traits. So if you were going to describe him, quirky, aloof, brilliant. Some people say he's on the spectrum. You've been in this game forever. How would you describe Lane Kiffin's personality?
I don't think he's aloof at all. I think he's extremely self-aware, extremely calculated, shrewd, smart, knows exactly who he is, does not try to pretend to be anybody else. And that doesn't mean that you don't learn certain traits from the people you're around and adopt some of those traits from people that you've learned from. Doesn't mean that you take all of those things. I think all good coaches take all of those things and try to apply to themselves the ones that they fit within their personality. But he's never tried to be anything other than who he is. Now he's grown, he's matured. Maybe he thinks once or twice before he clicks send, whereas 15 years ago he wouldn't have. I think that's all part of the growth and maturation process. But I think he is extremely self-aware and calculating in relationship to what he does on and off the field. And where he probably gets maybe not enough credit, in my opinion, is he's a worker. I think sometimes that that label comes with certain coaches with personalities that are stern and quiet and direct and to the point, come off as paranoid. Like, everybody assumes that those types of traits are attached to grinders and workers and this and that. Well, I think he is a grinder and a worker.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think he takes himself too seriously when it comes to stuff that doesn't have a direct reflection on winning, losing.
Right.
And there's not a lot of personalities like that in college football, right? In fact, I'm just sitting here having this conversation with you, not knowing you were going to ask that question, and I'm trying to think of one. Try to come up with somebody that does the things that he does on social media, that is charismatic, that will answer your questions, that likes to have fun and poke fun at the media, yet still gets the results that he's gotten. Like, you can't get those results unless you're a detail-oriented worker. You just can't. It doesn't happen. There's too many things to manage. So I think what he's done is he's kind of separated himself because the personality doesn't necessarily vibe with, oh, well, this guy's just going to go out there and outwork somebody. I do think he has some of that in him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Tom Luginbill with ESPN on the Out of Bounds show and the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. All right, and you see no path if he's leaving for him to coach in the college football playoff, right?
I just don't know how you can because of the way the calendar sets up and where the transfer portal falls. Like, you cannot miss now in today's day and age because of where they put the portal. You can't miss that portal. And I just think the challenges of now, the one thing that does help them a little bit is that December is now a dead period.
Right.
But that doesn't mean people aren't cheating left and right in the transfer portal. Right. But from a high school perspective, the recruiting class is already going to be signed and delivered. Right. You'll have to weed through that after the fact. But LSU's not recruiting bad players. So whatever he inherits there or what they end up going with and signing is probably going to be a pretty decent little base and foundation. But you know what, Bo, I'll tell you this, and I will be saying this on live television next Wednesday, I guess it is. And I said it last year. Signing day now isn't what it was when it comes to building the foundation of your program. I mean, what's the likelihood now that, let's just say 60% or more of any given class that you sign at the high school level is going to be in your program within 2 years?
Slim to none.
It's slim to none. So while it all looks great on paper, and you don't want to diminish your efforts in high school recruiting, the problem becomes this, and it's a very simple one. If you get all these high school profile high school guys, and you don't play them all right away, and they don't have a significant role, in their mind, they all think they should be playing. So if they're not, guess what? They're going to leave.
That's right.
And there's nothing stopping them from leaving. And there's nothing stopping them from having taken money in leaving. So while high school football recruiting and having a nice signing day is great on paper and it looks good, it's now all about retention. Like, you're not going to have the opportunity to develop and retain. The goal is to develop if you're a developmental program and then hope you can retain them by affording to keep them if they become something. But at the high profile jobs now, keeping those kids, if they don't play right away, is extremely difficult to do because there's not going to be enough money to go around. And so to me, you look at Nick Saban's talked publicly about, his last player exit meeting in his last year at Alabama, which led to him saying, you know what am I doing? We got kids coming in here asking for $200,000, $300,000. They haven't even played yet. And then if you say, well, that's not going to happen, they're gone. So what really is high school football recruiting anymore?
It's a good question. Tom Luginbill on the show. Something else that's intriguing here is that his first general manager was Austin Thomas, that he and Austin got this thing rolling. Okay. Mm-hmm. As you just mentioned, Lane was so far ahead of everybody else. And as you know, Austin left to go to LSU. And Kelvin
Correct.
Bolden was also in-house at Ole Miss with him, and he left to go to LSU. And so he knows all about the job. He and Edo's. All right. So speaking of Lane, there's talk that Frank Wilson will stay because he's kind of the glue, as you well know, with all these prospects and so on. And Ed Ogeron may join the staff. And it's kind of like getting the band back together, and it's guys that understand the ins and outs of LSU. How much of an asset is that for Lane if this all plays out, Luke?
Well, I think it's huge because both of those guys have been known throughout their careers to be diehard recruiters. And the whole entire goal at LSU, when you don't have a competitor Power 4 program in the state, is that there will be zero excuse for a great player going somewhere else, right? So you want to have those intimate relationships. You want to have those coaches that know every nook and cranny of the state. Because at the end of the day, whether it's high school recruiting, whether it's talent evaluation in the transfer portal, it's about players, not plays. And Lane Kiffin knows that. And so, you got to have those guys on your staff that are intimately involved and have a deep-rooted knowledge starting at home first. And then obviously, when you are recruiting at that level, at the high school level, and you're at a place like an LSU, and you will have likely recruited every great player in the Southeast footprint, or in some cases from a national perspective, the ability to get that guy back on the back end, those relationships are when that matters the most.
A good point. Yeah. Tom Luginbill is joining us on the Out of Bounds show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone, driven by your next GMC Sierra truck at Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon. All right, I want to walk you through another one of my theories and see what you think.
Okay.
I think college football coaching is like the NFL today in that it's all about the 30 days leading up into the season, much more so than it was prior to players not leaving and moving around. And here's where I'm going with that. The NFL coaches are just giving their team on July 25th, Luke, as you know. And it's, hey, here's your team. 30% of it's going to be new, and depends on position by position each year. You got to expedite this thing and be ready the week after Labor Day to go. I think it's the same way in college football starting 3 years ago, possibly 4. And I think Lane, because of being around Carroll and Saban, his late dad, Monty Kiffin, he understands the way to expedite that. He's got a damn good staff. And Luke, I think he's one of the best coaches and coaching staff at getting their team up and running in 30 days. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the challenge in college football that isn't a challenge in the National Football League is you don't have rules. See, in that league, they're all playing with the same deck of cards. They're all playing with the same they've got a salary cap they've got to adhere to. They've got free agency. They've got the draft. But everybody's on the same playing field. And so now it comes down to decisions, right? Decisions you make in the draft, decisions you make in free agency. Do you underpay? Do you overpay? Did you miss on a first rounder? All of those. But those are decisions that are made that each individual team is accountable to. In college football, what's made what Lane's done impressive is not everybody is playing with the same deck of cards. Some people might have a $12 million player pool for NIL, and another team might have a $25 million player pool. Well, that's not the same. And so being able to work around that and work in the margins, if you're not playing with, say, Georgia or Ohio State or Texas or Alabama or what have you, Texas A&M's NIL, and you're having to do it a different way, that's probably what's been most impressive about what they've built there in Oxford. The question he's probably, really contemplating is that sustainable if you're never going to be there, right? Are you ever, he could be looking at a situation where, whether it's LSU, whether it's Florida, where he's saying, okay, the settlement, what percentage goes to football? Okay, that's acceptable or unacceptable. Okay, what is our collective number? Is it 30,000 or is it 30 million? Is it 15 million? Is it 25 million? And what are the top 5 other collectible numbers amongst college football right now, amongst the most successful programs? Are we in that range? Are we above that range? Are we way below that range? Because if you're not going to be in that range, you can sit here and say all you want about what a great coaching job you're doing and this and that. but you also have to apply expectation levels to dollar amounts. If you're at Ohio State and they're going to give you $28 million or $33 million or whatever, then the expectation is to play for a national championship and a college football playoff berth every single year.
Right.
But should that then be the expectation at a program that's not going to have those types of dollars? It can't be, because it's impossible to attain. And so, when you look at that for Lane, he's probably trying to get the answers to those questions, because at the end of the day, he hasn't been to Atlanta. They haven't won an SEC championship, haven't been to the college football playoff. And in order to get there, he feels like he may need more in those areas.
All right. What about the next guy that's actually gettable? Who do you like? Is it John Summerall for you? Is it Brent Key? Is it someone else? After Lane decides whether he's staying or going and starts to clear the traffic, who's the next guy in your opinion? Summerall, Brent Key from Georgia Tech, or someone else?
Well, I think it's John Summerall right now, and whether that ties into the Auburn job, whether that ties into Florida or LSU as being the next guy. John has been a head coach for now 4 years. If he's he has never not played in the conference championship game as a head coach.
Wow.
Okay. Now, is it the Group of Five level? Yes. Does he have an intimate knowledge and familiarity with the southeast portion of the United States? Yes. Both as a player and coach at Kentucky. He's from the state of Alabama, just outside of Huntsville. So I think he's the guy that you target, because not only is he a program builder, he's proven to be an elite motivator, and he's gotten teams to play well quickly. And that's the name of the game right now in college football, right? I mean, if you're not going to get it done in 2 years or 3 years, or you're not going to put yourself in a position to compete for a championship, they're going to fire your ass.
Right.
And so, and here's the other thing in all of this. And this is the dangerous component, regardless of who the coach is. All right. This is the most dangerous component of the world that we've evolved into. It used to be that your boosters, your brokers, your alumni guys, your donors, all of those guys, they had a say, right? They had a voice. Now they're owners.
That's right.
They're owners now.
That's right. They're major stockholders. You are exactly right in the football program and athletic department. Tom Luginbill with ESPN. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, my man. Thank you.
Same to you, brother. Have a great week.
The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, driven by Total Transportation of Mississippi. They're offering nationwide and regional routes right now. Apply today. Total Transportation of Mississippi. Full benefits, frequent time off, weekly pay, and bonuses. Powered by Total Transportation of Mississippi. Apply right now. TotalMS.com. Enjoy your Monday.